Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Boss Battle, episode 54, featuring Nathan from Faynora. I know I messed it up. Faynoraverse. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing fantastic, and that intro is like epic. That's incredible. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I figured we played the whole thing this time because I haven't seen the whole thing in a minute. But yeah, just a little creative thing we made with AI and stuff, and had to add Ramen into the mix too. Ramen, I see you bugging out there with your eyes, bro. You good?
Yeah, the rock star's hitting like it hit like 30 seconds ago. So maximum effect. I'm peaking right now. I'm peaking.
Bro is just ready. He brought his A game today, and I hope that Nathan did as well. So we have 3 bosses we have to defeat here today with the help of chat. For those who don't know, chat, this is a show where you guys get involved. And basically, I'm going to go over the rules real quick for you guys. So you have to have an 85, A average or above across all bosses. Towards the end of each round, the audience will be voting on X to determine the score of how the guest is doing against the boss. We're also going to be doing a lightning round of questions. That'll be between boss 2 and boss 3. And those questions will have they'll be kind of like your cooldown period because they won't be scored or anything. It'll be just like some silly questions just to cool off. But yeah, it's pretty much how boss battle works. So Nathan, are you ready to get into boss battle?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. We're going into boss number 1. Ooh. All right. Chat, thanks for joining us. Man, we've been doing 50 episodes of this, Ramen. This is crazy. 50 episodes already.
54.
When I read 54, I was like, we're at number 54. Holy shit.
We've almost have as many episodes as Mizzy's age right now. It's crazy.
Oh my god. You're gonna anger Mizzy. All right, let's go into the first question, and it says, can you tell us more about 81 Raven Studio, how 2G Entertainment got started, and how the Wildlands of Faynora came about?
Yeah, so 2TG Entertainment, this really came up. It's our game studio. From a couple of years back, I was looking at the Web3 gaming space and blockchain games and being like, these all suck. I don't want to play any of them. I don't know even for some of them. They seem interesting. How do I get into it? And that's my background as a corporate finance lawyer, then getting into the blockchain space, helping set up regulated cryptocurrency exchanges in Canada, doing a lot on the blockchain side since 2017. So for me coming into it, loving video games, but not being able to see anything I actually want to deal with, I was like, what would happen if we come in, start a new game studio, develop a game that is 100% game first, and then only introduce blockchain features to the extent that they actually make that game better and be super deliberate about it. So that was really how we started 2TG Entertainment a couple of years back. And Wildlands of Faynora is our pixel art roguelike tactics RPG, which is, think Final Fantasy Tactics meets Slay the Spire. So it has a real nostalgic pixel art style to it, but a super engaging gameplay loop. And the goal with that was, again, we want to make this game that's unique in its own right, and then add in Web3 features to take that engaging gameplay to the next level.
Love that answer. Let's move on to the next question here. And it does say your alpha demo is already playable on browser and Steam. How has the community response been so far? And what is the key feedback that you've incorporated into development?
Oh, the response has been fantastic. So we've had over 5,000 play the game so far. We did a little tournament back at the end of last year in 2024. And out of 500 people who participated in that 10-day tournament, they played for over 465 days. So that was like 11,000 hours of gameplay across 500 people over 10 days. Like some people averaging more than 10 hours a day, which is wicked for an alpha demo of just a pixel art game. And that really speaks to the gameplay and how much people are loving it. That said, it's an alpha demo. So there's a lot of things that we're building out in terms of features. And our goal is to be building in public. So we want to have a bunch of iterations out there. People play it, give us feedback. Hey, add in turn order would be really helpful, or however we're looking at different features in the game. And we're just incorporating that as we continue to develop and grow.
It was always like a fun story with that too, of like your game's in a testing stage and people are trying to do what they can to quote unquote break the game and kind of find out like, what can I do with it? What can I exploit? What can I not exploit or whatever? Has there been anything in the most recent like play tests that you guys have seen that there was a feature that you thought was not intentional, like that was not supposed to be in the game, but you just left it in because like the fans loved it?
I think we've found there are some things that are definitely people trying to break the game, and that's just something that like buggy, that they're like, hey, I've been able to get extra guys on my squad and stuff like that. Those types of things won't stick around. But the nice thing about it is that a lot of it's a strategy tactics RPG roguelike game. And so I think a lot of the strategy and tactics that we're seeing people use, we're leaning more heavily into that. So like, hey, they actually like the knight character as it's tanking. So how can we lean more into that as we continue to develop out that character? And what can we do? Go back and redo some of the skill animations as some of that we're hitting at. And how do we make that even cooler and more engaging? And so it's really a lot of that, trying to find what's vibing with people and really lean into it.
Love that answer. The next question here does say, we see that the Wildlands is described as Final Fantasy Tactics meets Ogre Battles meets Slay the Spire. Can you elaborate on what these influences show up in your gameplay? What makes your tactical RPG approach unique?
Oh, 100%. That's a great question. So Final Fantasy Tactics was really the inspiration. It's one of my favorite games growing up. And that was really the inspiration for the world and the art style as well. So if you look at the pixel art characters, we've modernized it a bit, but it's definitely going to be familiar for the people who love those classic pixel art RPG games, but also in terms of class building. So the characters that you get, you're going to have different classes that you can upgrade to, managing equipment and all that type of thing. Now, Ogre Battle is a pretty obscure Japanese strategy RPG that came out. They had a Super Nintendo version of it, ported that over to PlayStation, and also Nintendo 64, an entirely new version. And that's really a real-time strategy RPG that has this squad-based battle system. So we've based the battle system a little bit more on the Ogre Battle style, where you have a squad and a grid of 3x3 grid of characters, where your placement on that grid determines what type of attacks they do, how they can be protected. So that's kind of where the strategy battle gameplay comes in. And then Slay the Spire is really the roguelite inspiration for the game. So as you go through a playthrough, you're going to be able to choose perks. You're going to get random paths that you can go down, and you might fight monsters. You might choose to get a treasure chest, or you might go down an unknown path that you don't know what's going to happen until you get there. So there's no other game that's mixed these different elements in the way that we're doing. And part of the reason that we did an alpha demo was to see if it hits with players, because we can't point to, oh yeah, if you liked this, then you're definitely going to like our game. So we wanted to get it out there just to see, hey, that basic gameplay loop, do you like it? Do you enjoy it outside of anything that we're looking to do in the future with Web3? At the time we launched it, we just wanted to make sure the game was good. And luckily, we've been getting a lot of super positive feedback on that.
Yeah, it's very interesting to think like this is how we're setting up the game in our minds, and this is how the game is being played and executed. And sometimes those don't line up exactly. So It's very interesting to see like the kind of like feedback that you're getting from trying to like blend a bunch of different genres that haven't really been blended together in a way. So.
And I first came up with this and wrote a 40-page game design document. I'm not a game developer by training. I just loved video games as I was a kid. And I basically took, hey, these are the types of games that I've loved. And what could I envision this looking like as I put it together? Then pulled on a developer and said, hey, here's my idea. Let's start working on it and see if it's fun. And it took 4 months to build out all the systems before I could actually play through it myself to be like, oh, is this actually any good? And so that, just doing that, we've done a number of iterations since then to make it better and continue to improve, especially getting a lot of feedback from other people. But it was a really cool experience of, hey, here's just what I have, put on a bunch of sticky notes, then translate that into a game design document, then actually get it in practice and see. And finding that it was fun was really good, because otherwise, like, okay, then we need to scrap it and try something else.
This is not a question on the sheet here, but I just have a question here. So like you don't have like a deep understanding of like game design, but like you can understand what it takes to have like a fun video game, right? So my question is like, with that being considered, like that you don't have like that direct like expertise or knowledge, like let's say like you do understand like how sound design should work in a game, or how level design should work. Like how has that experience been like building a game without having like a direct hands on it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'd say there are two sides to it. One, there's a learning curve as I'm figuring out, there's one, just the things that I want as a player, but then the other, okay, how do you actually translate that into the systems that you need to make that a reality? And when I was a kid too, I was super nerdy. I was had my notebook when I was in class, and I was setting up my own party descriptions and stat progressions of what I thought Final Fantasy Tactics should be like. So some of that, and I'd spend tons of time poring over strategy guides and all that. The other piece is I am not at all enough for us to make a game as good as we did. So I was lucky to be able to bring in a lot of really good people who have worked on top tier games. Like our head of game development worked on Age of Empires 4, Halo, Max Payne, Gears of War. It's Company of Heroes, tons of strategy games, tons of AAA games. And I've been able to bring in a lot of different people who have really solid experience to round that out. So I can say, hey, here's what I'm thinking of experience-wise. And then we can bounce back and forth to figure out what's the best way to implement it.
And the answer you just gave me answered the next question on the sheet here. So that was kind of interesting how you did that. Don't know how you did that, but that was pretty cool. So let's move on to the last question here in the first boss, and says you're offering both a standard edition and a Fenoriverse edition of the game. Can you walk us through the key differences on why you decided on this dual approach?
Totally. Right now, we don't have a ton of good indicators of how Web3 can be implemented in games really well. So I think that's why you have platforms like Steam that are saying, no Web3 games, at least according to their current policies. And what we have is we have a game that has Web3 features that are optional that make it better, but it can be played completely separate from Web3. So if someone's not open to it or not used to it or not comfortable with it, there's still a base game here that there's a lot there for them to love. So we didn't want to just completely cut off the Web2 gamers, and Steam is the biggest platform for it. So we made a standard version that basically on the back end, we toggle off the Web3 features, and that's going to have your story mode. And so that's a basic, not connected to anything blockchain, but it has a whole hero that you're going to grow, and this story mode that we're going to be developing over the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months as that goes through its own early access launch. That's going to be all in on the story mode side of it. The Fenoriverse edition opens up this whole new gameplay mode that's our hunt mode, and that's Web3 enabled. That's a high risk, high reward, basically competitive roguelike tactics tournament that's ongoing, where you're playing against other players trying to capture as many nether talons by beating bosses compared to others. And based on where you position yourself on the leaderboard, you're going to be getting a number of rewards, getting tokens earned in game, and there's a whole different another level of gameplay that we can add to that through blockchain integration and blockchain features that you can't have in the standard version. But we're hoping that by having the 2 editions, people will find out what they love about Wildlands of Fenora and then say, hey, what are these people doing with these characters that we don't have, that this game mode that we can't use, just because they're open to the blockchain side of things. And if they find that it's better, then they'll be able to move over and try that too.
Yeah, a couple of things to unpack there. You mentioned Steam. I think with Steam, the reason why they're like hesitant with Web3 is because they have like this dominance with their CSGO trading skins, or I guess CS2 now. So I guess maybe they want to have like they want to be in control of it. Like they want to be like the centralized party. So like there's too much risk for them to assess. But I do agree with you. Like the approach that you guys are doing, I've seen a lot of games do that approach, and I think that just like in the CSGO part of it or CS2 part of it, like CS2 trading skins is not the main component of the game, but it does exist. And if you find it, you can find it can be very beneficial, monetarily. So I think that, the same way can be said with your approach to like the 2 different versions of the game as well.
Yeah. And if you're Steam and you're looking at the blockchain gaming space right now, you're probably not seeing a big reason to change, right? Because if you look at it, and a lot of them are really just projects intended to ramp up a token, but they don't have sustainability there. That's not something that I think Steam would want to change their policy to make way for. But I think if they see big, good quality games that have a sustaining community, and they're like, hey, well, actually, we would want to have some role in being involved in that. It's a huge marketplace. So it'll be, they certainly will have the first shot at becoming a type of large ecosystems for those types of gaming assets if and when they become open to it.
Absolutely. 100% agree on that one. Chat, the poll is live on the first boss. Let us know how Nathan has done against the first boss here. They want to read some comments here in chat. Shout out DeFi Zoo Racer. He just said bosses. Not sure if you're meaning that we're all a bunch of bosses, Robin. Not sure, but he just said bosses.
I take it. We bosses. We bosses up here. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And Clouds, what's going on, Clouds? Steam is where the users are. They just need to implement real money transactions so that gamers can actually transfer money out of their Steam wallet. Yeah, there's no way to exit. There's only an entry row. So like that's another thing too. It's like, does Steam Gabe and Newell, does he even want an exit ramp, right? Like I don't even know if he does or not. So just another thing to consider there. But that is going to do it for the first boss, everyone. We're going to be moving on to our little special announcement, and Ramen will be taking over the show from that portion on. Ramen, don't look so happy, bro.
I can't help it. I'm really excited. I got a good game, good show. I got caffeine in my system. I'm a box of noodles. Everything I month.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, Ramen, let the folks know what we just saw.
All right, folks. First off, let me say the thing you just saw is my favorite 4-letter word, and it is free. It is a badge. Shout out, Rev, for providing a badge for the show. Gasless and free. 2 of the best things that we want in Web3. Man, that all rhymed together. That's actually pretty good. Make sure you go and claim that badge, because later on, this badge may or may not have some utility with the Catalyst ecosystem and things that we have been building quietly in the background. And also, we want to make sure that we're helping out our buddy Nathan here too. So Fenora fam from the community, make sure you pull up and help him out to pass these bosses, because without it, we don't want him to get defeated. But thank you, Hotto, for bringing it up. Our Vandal White of Boss Battles. So you saw it right there live. Go ahead and click on that. Absolutely free. Get that badge. Get that badge. Make sure you vote too. Come on, folks. Anyway, Nathan, are you ready for boss number 2?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. Perfect.
Look, production has to cut you off when it has to be time. Okay, bro? Just go. Enough with the face, bro.
All right. So, man, it just all my juju left my body. I was doing so good. I was like, I was gonna let my griffin roar. All right, so we're gonna go. That's more like a murloc. I take everything back. All right, boss number 2, Nathan. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, perfect. Hey, I like that. I like that. Okay, we got a co-host coming. All right, can you break down the core gameplay loop of the Wildlands and what makes your roguelike tactical RPG engaging for players?
Absolutely. So the core gameplay loop, you start out and you need to make your team. So it's a squad-based game. We have a number of different classes that you can choose from and that you can build to and it's all kind of basic classic medieval fantasy RPG classes. So you have a squire, you have archers, you have knights, you have fighters that are more martial artists, and witches and clerics. We have a number of more classes that we're looking forward to expanding to, and every level of progression is important. So you set up your squad, you're going to move your characters with melee characters in front, probably ranged characters in the back, and then you're going to go on a hunt or go on your adventure. When you start your adventure, you're going to have some perks that you could choose. You could choose an item cache that's going to give you a treasure of weapons. You can get an experience boost, or you can choose more recruits so you have more control over the different members of your team. Then you're going to go on your adventure, which is intended, at least in the alpha demo, for you to get to this final boss that is a big griffin monster at the top of a mountain. And as you're getting towards it, every path you're going to have 3 different options. So you can fight monsters, you can have a second option that's going to randomly choose between like fighting a dragon that's going to give you more experience and more equipment, but you're probably going to die, especially at the beginning. Finding treasure, going to a merchant, going to a healing spring, or you take the last option that's unknown. So every path, you're going to have a number of different options that you can choose. And it's your job to optimize what your path is going to look like so you can be as strong as possible by the time you get to the boss. It's a roguelike game, so you're going to die, and you're going to die a lot, and you're going to get stronger, and you're going to learn more what your tactics and strategy should be. So a lot of the engagement comes in from that combination of progression, where every time you play through, you're going to continue to get stronger. You're going to continue to learn more. But also with every playthrough, it's going to be changed up. You're going to have different enemies that you're fighting, different options, different items, different equipment and loot. And you're going to need to optimize based on what you're handed in that playthrough.
I like that. And something, kind of caught my interest because, I do play the game, and you mentioned something about more characters coming into play. Now, this isn't one of the questions. This is kind of more for me. There are a couple that are down there that are waiting to be unlocked with the question mark. So, like, my personal question is, what are they and what do they do in the game? Like, what are their special moves?
Yeah, so those ones right now, we have a paladin, a ronin, a sorceress, and a priestess there. And so those are the ones that are named out, and they're really kind of the next tier of your knight, your fighter, and your your witch and your cleric. And so those different classes are going to have even more epic skills. They're going to be stronger. They're going to have more attacks because as the game progresses, you're going to have tougher and tougher enemies. Now, one thing that you won't have seen, so this is a little bit of an alpha in terms of what we're building on the back end, is more from a targeting perspective to create more depth in the game. So right now it seems like, okay, everyone's going to just do an attack and then it hits, but we're going to implement a number of new situations. So targeted attacks where you can see that the dragon is going to be attacking in this certain area. So you're going to need to move your characters around if you don't want to get hit by it, but there's going to add more elements of movement and reasons to be strategic and tactical in those battles as we continue to expand out the different skills that you have and stuff like that.
You know, I like this area of attack thing because let me tell you, two things and friends that I thought I've made in game that I don't like. Their names are Timber and Gale. And
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that'd be nice to kind of know where Timber and Gale are going to come hang out, so I can strategically move my characters around.
Exactly.
That's actually going to roll into the next question over here. And it's kind of like the meat and potatoes of the game, right? So let's talk a little bit about the mercenaries and the villagers. So, you know, what are some of the key differences between them? How do they function in terms of the gameplay? And what makes them valuable to the players?
Yeah, that's a great question. So mercenaries and villagers are our gaming NFT characters. And so we're currently doing a pre-sale of those, and it's really exciting because as we get into the hunt mode, the mercenaries and villagers are going to be your key to actually getting nether talons from beating these bosses and being able to earn rewards. Now, mercenaries are similar to the recruits that you're playing with on the story mode. So those are going to have the same type of classes. You're going to, as you get your mercenary, you're going to first, when you mint it, you're going to be assigned a specific class. You're going to get a separate innate skill for that mercenary. And then all of the customization that you can do with the hero, you're going to be able to do that as well. So if you want a knight with pink pigtails or Dragon Ball Z hair or that type of thing, you're going to be able to do that as long as you've unlocked those cosmetics, which is really cool in an isometric pixel art type game. But the challenge that you're going to have with these mercenaries and villagers is that you don't have the benefit of a super powerful hero for you to get so far along and beat the Griffin. So you're going to need to be a lot more strategic and a lot more tactical. But from that, then you can upgrade the classes of your mercenaries. If you don't like the skill that they have, you can re-roll them into a new one that's going to, and then you're going to try to find that right balance of the skill and the class that you want for them. Now, the villagers are, they're basically 1/4 of the cost and swap value of the mercenaries. And so your villagers are going to be kind of what you would expect from a villager in a monster fighting scenario. They're not going to be that great, but they're going to have certain skills where they're primarily going to be used as support characters, where you can hit a little bit, but they're never going to take down the Griffin. But they're going to have skills like first aid and skills that encourage or boost the stats of other characters as they develop and grow in level. And so from the perspective of, I mentioned swap value. So these are all MPL 404 hybrid NFT gaming characters. So you're able to swap them into Muchi tokens, which is our token for in-game currency with the hunt mode. And the mercenaries are swapped into 4 times the number of Muchi tokens that a villager would be. And right now with the pre-sale, the mercenary is 120 USDC and the villager is 30. So all of that kind of equates to a 1-to-4 ratio between villagers and mercenaries. But if you're looking at actually getting far along, you're going to need the mercenaries to be able to get you those rewards and get you to that kind of end stage to be able to beat the Griffin at the end of it.
Nice. Very, very in-depth. Nathan, were you in sales by any chance?
No, my background's as a lawyer, actually.
Oh, I was like, you got 2 dry shills in while you were talking about these, like pre-sale, and he's like also 120 and 60 USD. Listen,
Yeah.
man, hey, you gotta pay for that shit, bro. That shit ain't free. Man, I'm just kidding, man. I appreciate you. No, that was good. No, that was great. So it's like you can get it, but it's kind of a tease though, right? Like if you just have like a couple of villagers, and I understand, listen, villagers unite. Like we're all villagers here at Web3, and we're trying to get to the mercenary / cabal level too. So it's like you need friends.
Well, and that's where part of it comes in, from the perspective of this high risk, high reward scenario. So if you're able to just outclass other players and you have that villager, you're not going to earn as quickly. But if you you put the time in, or you've cracked the code for the best strategy for you, then you probably will be able to outclass people who have a full team of mercenaries. And then that might help you get more tokens, and then you can upgrade a villager into a mercenary, or buy a mercenary separately, and you can kind of build it that way. So it gives a lot of opportunity for people to really compete against other players to try to grow and get better and build more. And that's where we take the engagement to a whole nother level with the Web3 side, because there's so much more we can do with the gamification layers and the actual rewards that people can get from playing.
Awesome. Absolutely love that. And I like that. That means I was just about to get into the comments. Thank you, Hado. Yo, 3 Bond. He's probably driving. He's always commenting and driving. Maybe he might be at his desk this time. Who knows? Then we got our guy over here. Yo, Damien. He says, dig it. And then he says, LOL. I don't even know what that's for. Probably the Orlando jersey. But we're going to keep on rolling with that one. I do like the thing with the Moochie token, though. That is kind of cool. Like a side quest. What was the inspiration for naming that?
So Moochkin is our red panda multi-dimensional traveling inventor. And he's just this super cute little red panda in a cloak. And Moochkin was just a name that I came up with. I think I gave my daughters a couple of different name options. Hey, what do you think is the best? What do you think is the cutest? And we landed on Moochkin. And really, Moochkin is our 2TG mascot. Red pandas are the best animal in the world. I think that's objectively been proven. And so we had to go with a cute red panda mascot. And the Moochie token just comes from that.
Okay, I will argue with the best one in the world. I do like the capybara. I think that is actually classified as the most chill animal in the world, with friends that are typically predators, but they are so chill. But I think capybaras and red pandas.
Sloth, hey?
So actually, sloth is low key. Yeah. That's like me when trying to get into pre-sales. Like, all right, that's good. No, it's good. I like to know. Like, there's always story behind it.
By the way, chat, the poll is live. Go and vote.
All right, yes, please go vote. Please help your guy out, Feynorvers. You can't leave Nathan in the Wildlands all by himself. You got to help him defeat these bosses. 3 Bond says platypus also pretty goated. You know, if they had, if Mother Nature had like a chill stash, and you had a platypus, a capybara, a red panda, and a sloth together, it'd be the most low key stash ever. And they probably pull all the girls too. I don't know why. How do they do that? Like put out like just maximum Riz energy, just being chill and stoic or whatever. Anyway, we're gonna go into the next question.
Rockstar, dude.
Oh, you want to know what's funny? This one's called Rockstar Recovery, and I'm not really recovering anything except for financial losses. So it's wild how this is working right now. But the next question is, yo, let's go. I may be in the red, but I ain't dead. I'm keeping on going here. Listen, the hunt mode seems to be a central feature of your Feynorverse edition. Can you explain how this high risk, high reward system works and what makes it exciting?
Yeah, so the hunt mode is high risk because unlike the story mode, where the story behind the story mode is the hero that you get, and you can create your hero and customize them, gets a Phoenix amulet from a wizard. And that Phoenix amulet allows them to revive anytime they die. So that's the roguelite element to it of you're going through trying to kill this griffin, and you die, you come back stronger, and you keep growing. The hunt mode is a bunch of mercenaries and villagers who do not have a Phoenix amulet. So the stakes are high, the difficulty level is high, and if you die, then you're going to need to spend Moochie tokens to revive. And so there's definitely a real element to death that's built into the lore. And there's a lot of these Moochie token sinks in the game where the Moochie token strategy itself is part of the competition, because 90% of all the Moochie tokens spent within the game go into a rewards pool that you're competing with other players for. So that's where you have the high risk side of it, where it's effectively permadeath also if you wait too long, and the cost You revive too many times, the cost becomes higher and higher every time you revive a mercenary. So smart play is always rewarded. And then it just gets you in that loop of trying to find the best loot, being able to, and this is something actually that people haven't seen yet, but being able to use a special Moochkin device to carry equipment over from one playthrough to the next. More on that will be coming soon. So within the hunt mode, there's all of these different features of ways that people can play the game to kill more nether beasts, to be able to get more nether talons than everyone else, and grab a hold of as many of those rewards in the rewards pool, and deciding, hey, am I going to spend Moochie tokens to revive this character that died, or do I try to re-roll him for something better, or do I instead use that on perks so that I can get farther and get stronger? And it's going to be really interesting. Talking before about how people try to game the system, it's going to be super interesting to see how people are diving into it and the strategies that they use to try to beat out everyone else.
Yeah, I guess I'll see y'all in hunt mode.
Yeah.
So do we have like we got a little date? We got a little I'm saying that because we've got down here Threevon's like alfalfa. You know what they want. You know what the people want. Give them the alpha.
Yo, why is he asking when in doubt, see it out? What am I supposed to do with this poll? My brother, you're supposed to vote and let us know how Nathan is doing on the second boss. That's what you're supposed to do with the poll.
Yeah, I think when people are asking about that, they're like, "What do we do with A, B, C, and D?" That's.
Let me give you a quick rundown. A, fantastic. D, dog shit. There you go.
I mean, he said, "See your way out," though. That's. I think he's voting against you. Listen, make sure you get down his address, and he's not allowed to go into the hunt. All right, we're gonna roll into the.
That's perfect. If I could get a list, do we get a voting list after this as well?
A voting list.
That'd be super helpful. Just any Twitter based on where they were.
Yeah, well, he self-snitched in the chat, so we know where he's
exactly.
At right.
Oh no, I've already got his number.
Self-snitching in 2025 is crazy.
I wonder if Threevon is saying like C's get degrees. If that's what he's saying, when in doubt, see it out. Like maybe that's the thinking there. Like it's got to go C.
Like C plus or bust, like you had to get a C average to play on the sports team in high school. Come on, maybe that's what he's saying.
That is true. That is true. You did have to get a C, at least a C plus to play.
At least a C plus. I'm in Seattle, so I'm his neighbor. He said basically, come fight me. All right, this is getting wild here on the show.
Did he make a C pun with Seattle? Or is that
Seattle? Oh, see it out. Seattle? No, we don't want people fighting. It's constantly raining and depressing. We don't want that to happen. All right, so we're going to go and roll into the next one, which we kind of talked about a little bit. But listen, Death of the Wildlands has real consequences, right? Can you elaborate on your permadeath system and why this adds value to the gameplay experience? I know we kind of touched on this, but maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, so this came from a little bit from the lore side of things, because you don't have this Phoenix amulet that's going to revive these characters. And also, in a sense, inspired. I don't know if you guys have seen Princess Bride. You know that?
Hey, I was born in '81. Yeah. You know, I've seen that movie. You know, right? I've seen The Princess Bride.
Right. So what we've learned from Princess Bride is that it's important how dead you are. So there's mostly dead and there's all dead, and so that's part of the death sequence. So if you die, depending on the rarity of your character, either you're going to be able to revive as a fallen character, or you're going to perish, and then the cost is going to be that much greater to try to bring back a perished mercenary to life. And really, all of this feeds into the resource management and risk management of, you have a strategy. If you are going on a hunt and you're going to take on a boss that you don't think you can beat, then we're going to give you options to get out of it. You can always, and this is something that isn't in the alpha demo, there's an escape portal item that you could bring with you, so that if you think, oh no, this is getting too hot, I'm going to need to pull myself out, then you can do that. But then you're going to lose one of your item spots. So everything has a risk reward. And if your hero or if your mercenary dies, then you're going to need to make the choice. Okay, am I going to spend the money to, or the Muchi tokens to revive him? Am I going to do it now? Or am I going to wait and then just have this character perish, and then that's going to cost even more? Or do I just re-roll him into a new mercenary and start building again? So it gives real consequences, and it's not like we have an auto battle function in there. But to be clear, this is not like an idle game where you can just like sit there, set it and forget it, and try to do your daily quests by just having it open for 5 minutes where there's no actual engagement. Like, this is intended to be a real, it's a real game. If you're playing it, you're going to need to be paying attention to what's going on, and there are real consequences if you don't. Now, there are also real rewards for the people who do nail it and manage everything properly. Then you're going to be at the top of the leaderboard. You're going to get lots of perks and rewards and everything that comes with that.
I like that. It's just, I like how there's things that we haven't got to really experience yet in the alpha, and these little tidbits of things that are slowly sneaking out. Like how you said you're going to be able to get into the portal so you can pull out in case things get kind of rough in there, which is kind of nice, right? And also, speaking of pulling out, we got 3 of you in the comments saying, guys, I'm not that deep. I think you guys are literally neighbors out there in Seattle out there or something like that. You guys have to collab on some Fedora versus some game nights. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. We got Muchi token. I just want to unlock the different characters. Honestly, I love the knight. I think it's great. I love the fighter, but I'm more interested in unlocking some more of these characters. But time will tell. We are moving on, folks. Make sure, before I move into the last question, make sure you go out there and you vote and you collect the free badge over there from Rev Gasless Transaction. Make sure you grab that thing. All right, last question, boss number 2. You've incorporated some interesting features like the financier for sponsoring hunts and the traveling tailor for customization. How did these enhance the overall game economy and the player experience?
Yeah, well, I'll take each of those separately. So the financier, that's effectively a staking mechanism for people who are, into the Web3 space and understand that. This is a reason for people who, if you're not going to be playing for a while, or you just bought a ton of mercenaries and so you have a stack of them that you're sitting on for now, then you don't need to bring them all on a hunt. You can effectively stake them with the financier, which within the lore, you're basically lending them out to this financier that's sending them off on hunts on their own, and you're going to get staking rewards. So a separate rewards pool as staking rewards for those mercenaries that you've set off with the financier. Now, the traveling tailor, this is someone who's joined the mercenary town of Donegal, which is kind of the home of operations for the hunt mode. And you can go into that tailor, and with any of your characters, whether it's villagers or mercenaries, you can change up their hairstyles, hair color, eye color, skin tones, have different extras. You can put scars on their face. We did a tournament recently and had a couple people win a platinum scouter that, again, is kind of like a Dragon Ball like scouter that they could then put on their knights or that type of thing. So what we're trying to do is just really make this engaging, because how you change their customization in the game is going to reflect on the NFT itself. So if you have your knight with a platinum scouter and then you put them up for sale on Magic Eden, then people are looking at that and they can buy your knight with that special limited edition platinum scouter and all of the stats that you've developed into that character and all the equipment that comes with it too. So all of this is trying to make it deep, customizable, and I haven't seen any other game that's done this type of customization in this isometric scenario. It's a lot more work because you don't have the same, just one standard face that you can just change, because side scrolling, it's always going back and forth. You have to do it from a bunch of different angles, and we need to make sure that it all marries with all the different animations that we're doing. But it was important for us to do this so that you can really feel that, okay, these mercenaries are mine and I can make them mine. Maybe I want them all to have like the black clothes that fit to their class and all have the same type of hairstyle because this is the crew that I want. Or however people want to do it, it's going to be interesting to see how they take customization to the next level too.
And there's a little bit of something for everybody in here, which is kind of nice, right? Whether you're an avid player, whether you're a big whale that has like a big conviction inside of the economy. And I like how you can send your other mercenaries on little side quests too, because it's true, you can only have so many that are out there. So that wraps it up for the last question, boss number 2. Again, I urge everybody out there, make sure you go and vote, or else Nathan's going to get defeated by our Griffin.
Ooh,
and
not a good way to go.
That. Yeah, not a great way to go. But we are going to go into the next round, which I think Pado's going to cover here a little bit. Nope, I'm going to cover. He's giving me the eyeballs. Yeah, and we got ad sponsor break.
We're going to an ad break.
Yeah.
Chat, yeah, I'm talking to you. Chat, did you guys know that Arbitrum's got some fire games for you to try out? From racing a kitty cart to battling in golden ties, Arbitrum's got it all. Want to be a pirate? Pirate Nation is calling you. Feeling adventurous? Explore Magi on the Xi L2 blockchain. Or if you're into strategy, Maelstrom on the Uprising chain is your jam. Don't take my word for it. Try it out for yourself and level up your gaming life on Arbitrum today. Warning, these games give you too much hype. Follow Arbitrum Games for more. Crypto Hot approves this message. Shout out to our sponsor, Arb, RevGG, and the Warden. You guys have been the best sponsoring us for, pretty much since Catalyst has been out almost. We're going to get into a lightning round, and then we're going to wrap the show with our last boss. So let's get into our lightning round. Now, like I explained earlier, this is a plethora of questions that don't have anything to do with the boss format. So these are all just like cooldown period questions. The intent is like rapid fire lightning round question answering. So I'm going to do the first 5. Robin will do the next 5. And the first one says here, Squire, Archer, Knight, Cleric, Witch, or Fighter. Which class would you personally play as?
Cleric.
All right. What's the single most challenging monster to defeat in the Wildlands?
Gold Tiamat.
Ooh, interesting. If you had to choose one feature that makes Wildlands stand out from the other tactical RPGs, what would it be?
The roguelike gameplay loop.
All right. And what's the most unexpected thing that happened during development so far?
That it was as fun as I hoped it would be.
Okay. And last one for me. How many times has your team members died in your own game while testing?
Oh, thousands.
In here. Thousands.
Oh yeah.
That's a rando question. Yeah, that's right.
That one caught me off guard. As I was reading it, I was like, "This is silly." Go ahead, Robin.
All right. Physical copy of Wildlands or Moochkin plushie?
Oh, Moochkin plushie.
Okay. Most valuable piece of equipment in the game?
It'd be a legendary Excalibur right now.
Ooh. Okay. Describe the Wildlands in 3 words only.
Awesome and engaging.
Is that 3 or is that 2?
Well, and I figured I didn't want to get beyond it, so I said and.
And is the word.
Yeah. They got technical.
And is the word, Robin.
I know. I got to read the small print. My bad. Okay. Most obscure Easter egg hidden in the game.
Christineth is a random name. For anyone who's seen the movie The Other Guys.
The other
with Will Ferrell and
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg. Oh yeah, great.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the desktop, right?
That's the one with the desktop.
Did you get the one with the desktop in?
Yeah.
The desktop? Yeah. Oh, that was such a great movie. Yeah.
I think Threevon is making fun of your answer, Nathan. He said, "You're a very and."
This guy has a plethora of responses inside of our chat right
If
now.
you say plethora one more time out of falling, anyone hits us in catalyst. What's wrong with the word plethora? It's a great word. What's wrong with it?
There are plethora of opportunities to use it. I don't know what his problem is.
He's experiencing a plethora of emotions right now. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
all right. Well, and this one's going to get into the last question of the lightning round. If you can have any gaming studio collab with Feyenoorverse, who would it be?
I'd need to be Final Fantasy with Square Enix.
Ooh,
I see that.
Yeah.
I definitely see it in the art style.
Yeah, that's actually the ultimate right there. Not gonna lie. All right, that wraps it up for the lightning round. We are going to be hopping into the final boss number 3. Those that are out there that haven't had a chance to vote or retweet or get the free badge, make sure you go inside of the comments and go and claim that thing. Listen, I gotta let people know this because you know what? It's a trick, right?
I
People
thought
say,
you were gonna
"Get
say,
this
get
free
the
NFT. Here's
outta
$30
here."
in gas you gotta pay." No, there's no gas. You literally collect it and you want it because utility, ecosystem, Catalyst, Boss 3. Next, Rockstar's wearing out. Hado, take over.
I'm just giving you claps for like saying stuff and not taking a breath because that was somewhat impressive. All right, let's move on.
Breathing.
See, I don't know when to hit the button now because Robin don't know when to stop talking. You understand, chat? I hit the button, he kept talking. I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do. Show is muted is definitely top 5 worst word. It's not worse than moist. He said it's worse than slurs. How is Yo, we gotta make a Catalyst branded plethora t-shirt for 3Von.
Yo,
then we can give it away to him.
don't miss out on plethora coin too, dropping soon.
Plethora coin. All right, so
Why? Plethoras.
How this last round works is we're going to alternate between hosts here on each question. So I'll ask one question, Ron will ask the next one, so on and so forth. And we'll be dropping the poll here in about 3 to 4 questions. So keep your eyes peeled on Twitter for those polls. The question here says, your approach to blockchain is quite unique, focusing on making the game better rather than using blockchain for its own sake. How does this game-first mentality translate to actual features and player experience? You've kind of alluded to this, but if you want to reiterate your points.
Yeah, well, I think it starts from the ground up. And so it also starts from the whole go-to-market strategy where we made an alpha demo and have done all of this development and everything to put the game out before we've sold anything. So for me, that was important because when I was looking at the space and game studios who sold a token and then started building games from it, the challenge is the product that you sold is the token. And so when you're trying to appease and let's say please your customer base, they're concerned about what the token is. So for us, we wanted to get the game out so that anything that anyone would buy is going to be tied to the game itself and the game experience. And so all of our game features, whenever we're looking at how can we make the game better, it's not how can we add this blockchain feature. It's, hey, what's this, let's say, a whole laundry list of things that you can do with blockchain in game and what actually fits within our game to make it better. And we've had a number of people talk to us at different times about, hey, this is hot right now. If you jump on this train, then sure you'll for sure sell out. And then you can do whatever you want with it. But we're like, well, that doesn't fit with the game that we're building. So no, it's immediately out because that's not part of the game that we're building. That's not part of the gameplay loop. And so same thing with how we approached MPL 404 was, okay, with this hybrid mechanic in mind, how can we actually use that and integrate that in the gameplay loop that we already have? And we didn't go out and raise when those were really hyped when they first came out, because it wasn't ready within the game itself to be able to showcase how it's done properly to make the game better. So it's really kind of the guiding principle for everything we're doing is about how do we make the game better.
I respect their approach. Seriously, that means a lot. A lot of game devs don't really have that sentiment in Web3 and some just in general. So really do hope that you guys stay true to that and, that does work out because that's very important. Let's move on to Ramen for the next question.
All right. And again, you've done a great job explaining a lot of these answers. So I think this kind of is just a retouch on some of the previous things that you talked about. But can you explain your hybrid NFT system and how the ability to re-roll and swap mercenaries creates value for players?
Yeah, so I've touched on it a little bit, but there's some other stuff that that we can dive into a bit more as well. So again, from a gameplay loop perspective, when we were looking at this concept of mercenaries don't have a Phoenix amulet, there's no way for them to automatically revive, and we want to create that high risk scenario. So the re-rolling ability is important because you might get to the point where you're like, well, I keep dying, but I don't want to spend so much to be able to revive the character because I suck too much and I haven't learned what I need to do. So I would rather re-roll into a different character, and the hybrid NFT system gives us the ability to do that. Or if you're going out and you're saying, look, I bought 2 mercenaries, one of them is just not that good because I haven't leveled him up. He doesn't have great skills. Well, I'm better off swapping him into Muchi tokens and using those to spend on in-game perks, items, reviving another character that's a lot stronger. And by doing that, I'm going to be able to earn more by placing higher on the leaderboard and then build up my my bag of Muchi tokens that way. And then, hey, by the way, I just earned a lot this week because I placed really high in the leaderboard. Now I can take that and get a new mercenary. So it creates this whole loop of you being able to not just get some tokens and then extract value, but continue to play and build within the Fenoriverse, because longevity is important. And that's where another piece comes in for me, is that with other gaming NFTs, I bought quite a few early on in like a game or game studio's life cycle. And then a few years later, by the time the game actually came out, they'd done another like 3 big collections of things that are so much cooler than the one that I bought. And the one that I bought, the value is like nothing. And playing it in game is like, yeah, maybe as a collectible, people might think it's cool, but same with the other 5,000 people who bought the same thing. So is it really? With ours and the swap value, you have, if we come out with a new collection later on, we can change that swap value so that whereas now, let's say it's one mercenary is worth 10,000 Muchi tokens, the next collection that we come out with, well, one of those in the new collection is the swap value is 2,000 Muchi tokens. So you may have bought one early on and you're like, the Fenoriverse, that was kind of cool, but I didn't do much with it. And then we continue to build and grow and have new games that you're excited about. Well, you might be happy to find that you can just swap your old character into Muchi tokens and get a bunch more of the new characters with whatever else we're doing, so you don't lose that inherent value with it.
That's great to be able to capture that kind of, consistent value throughout the timeline of everything that comes into, the Fenoriverse or anything under, 2G Entertainment is what I'm assuming is everything under that umbrella will then be covered. So that's kind of nice. It's truly allowing your assets, whether they can be used in game. It's like, well, there's an attached value to that. So yeah, that's actually really dope. I like that. And folks, if you like that, make sure you vote, because this is the last boss. We're going to pass this on to Hado for the next question.
Yeah. The poll's not up yet, but yes, when it is up, please vote. Question here says the MCHY token economy looks interesting with 90% going back into players. How do you ensure this creates a substantial long-term ecosystem rather than the, I didn't put this word here, Ponzonomics you mentioned avoiding?
Yeah, well, so the nice thing about it is that there's no need, like an inflationary token, of your supply and demand mismatch, because supply is constantly pumping up and demand needs to keep up with it to catch that. With the Muchi token, what we have is we have a limited supply. It's deflationary because of what's coming out of the system through this 90-10 split. And then the 90% that's coming in, it's split amongst the then current players. So whether you have 100 players that you're splitting it amongst 100, or 10,000 players where you're splitting it amongst 10,000, that metric is going to be quite similar. So from the perspective of sustainability, it's scaling based on just splitting with the other players, no matter what the scale is. And then we also have done something with our initial mint where 10% of our mint proceeds, we're going to be putting towards prizes for the first year. And so that's one way that we're going to kind of ramp that up as we're getting going. And we expect that as we continue to grow, we're going to find new opportunities for other ways. And we have a number of conversations about this with external groups about how we can add more money into the pot and more opportunities into the pot that isn't relying on new players, but it's using what we have as opportunities to give more value to players. Because when I look at these things, anything that we're doing where there's going to be some cost, there needs to be an associated value with it. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable.
No, I agree with that point. Gotta kind of understand the balance between both. Because players will understand that too. Like, I don't know. Just a quick side note. I don't know if games know this in the space. So players also pick up on things too. They may not be vocal about it. Some obviously will be. But some players will pick off something. Yeah, I'm not fucking with this. They might just ghost you silently and not tell you why. So totally. Those are things you got to think about when you're making games for sure. Rama, let's go to the next question.
All right. Again, touching on some previous stuff, but you mentioned the financier allowing players to sponsor hunts. Can you elaborate on how the staking mechanism works and how it accommodates both active players and investors?
Yeah, so it works where you have your NFTs or your Moochie tokens, and then you go into the financier, and it's a very simple kind of in-game function to be able to stake those with the NFT or with the financier to sponsor hunts. And so for your active players, it's going to be more resource management of, hey, I'm not using these mercenaries, or I have a bunch of Moochie tokens that I don't plan to use over the next few hunts or the next week that I'm planning to do it. So I'm just going to pop it over with the financier to get part of that staking pool. And then if you're more just kind of the, I'm not going to use any words like investor or an investment type thing, but if you want to be part of the ecosystem, but aren't actively playing the game, then you're going to think, okay, well, I know that I'm not going to be playing the game for the next week or month or however long. So I might as well park my NFTs and my Moochie tokens with the financier so that it can just accrue that from that pool as part of the staking rewards. And then when I get back into it, whenever I decide, whether it's with this game or I'm looking forward to future games that we're putting out, well, then at that point I can unstake and pull them off and be able to benefit from all the development that we've done between the time they staked and when they finally take it out.
Well, that's actually great. And please note that nothing I shared is intended as a financial advice. I'm supplying some information, provided opinions for your consideration. Always do your own research and consult a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions. Okay, now that we got that out the way, I do appreciate that. And I think that's great that we have for both that want to participate in the ecosystem and those that actually want to play. And like I said before, we've got a little bit of something for everybody. So truly enjoying this. We are going to throw it back to Mr. Hotto.
Yeah, you got like a prompt somewhere where you wrote that down? It's like you read that verbatim, bro. What the hell?
I did, for legal purposes.
He's like, I did what I had to do. Don't worry about it. Next question. Next question says, beyond the Wildland, you mentioned the Battle of Feynora and other products in development. What's your vision for the broader Feynora-verse and how mercenaries might connect across multiple games?
Yeah, so Battle for Fenora is a proof of concept demo that we put together before we moved to Wildlands of Fenora. And that one, we talked a little bit about Ogre Battle before. That's a real-time strategy RPG. Again, one of my favorite games, and I hadn't seen anyone do a game like that in a long time. And so that was our first proof of concept demo that we put together. And with feedback that we got from that, I'm really excited for how we will be able to implement mercenaries and villagers and other NFT characters within that, so that you can showcase from the pixel art character and how that works in the roguelite tactics RPG game Wildlands of Fenora, but also in a stylized 3D strategy RPG that's intended to be basically a multiplayer strategy RPG game that would be co-op and competitive. And that's something that's in the pipeline as we continue to grow and develop. Outside of that, with the Fenoraverse, we're looking to completely expand. There's so much that we can do with the story and with the world, and also universes that connect through Moochkin. That's the dimension traveling red panda. So we have a number of other games in concept for different types of genres, so that anyone, no matter what type of game you're interested in, we're going to give you the opportunity to enjoy the Fenoraverse with that, and also looking outside of the gaming world as well, just into other forms of entertainment, comic books, TV and film and stuff like that. So we have a really, really expansive vision for the Fenoraverse. And my goal is, I typically don't talk about all of those things because I've heard so many people talk big talk and not show anything. And so I'd much rather, hey, here's the game, try it. Do you like this? Well, then we're going to go on to the next thing. Try that. Do you like that? And we keep building and growing.
Yeah, that grassroots organic approach to build a project up, I think, is always going to, like, I just think about like Catalyst real quick. We took a long like organic approach like that too, and we built like a community and like, made a name for ourselves. So like, I do think that when you do it that way, you kind of have more of an impact than to like run up the numbers real quick and then just like hype. Eventually hype runs out, So I do agree that is the more correct approach. I don't think there's one approach that's better than any other approach, but I think there is a better way to approach things in this space. So I do appreciate that. By the way, guys, the poll is, let's see, we got about 3 minutes left on the poll, so go ahead and vote. It's the final poll on today's show, so go ahead and vote. We're going to kick it over to Robin for the final question, and then we're going to go into the results portion of the show.
Awesome. And just to kind of kick this off too, I do mention that you talked about a lot of teams that were mentioning things and not being able to deliver. What were their names?
I can't recall. I can't recall specifically, but I'll get back to you.
You are a lawyer. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Last question, boss number 3. Looking at your roadmap, what features are you personally most excited about delivering to the community?
I mean, on a broad scale, the hunt mode itself. In terms of features, there's what you'll see in this. We're first launching an invite-only hunt mode alpha. That's a closed one without Web3 functionality, because again, everyone's going to try to break it as much as possible. So there are real prizes, but it's not actually with the minted characters yet. So that as we see people try to do everything they can to break it to beat other people in this tournament, then we'll be able to make sure that we know what to watch out for. So within that, we have the mercenaries, and actually customizing those and creating your whole team exactly the way that you want it. And then having equipment, loot that you can carry over from one playthrough to the next. I think that adds a lot of depth to it. But I've also been working with our artists on the next iteration of bosses and classes and stuff like that. And this whole story mode that's fleshed out to be something that just on the game itself is a really cool, compelling story. You just see the bare bones frame of it in the alpha demo, but the actual story that carries through, I think, is really cool, that opens up the lore and has a lot of really, really cool, interesting characters that I look forward to. So there are so many different elements that we're still building that no one's even seen anything about it yet. I'm just looking forward to every time we put something out to see people's responses, see what resonates with them so that we can continue to lean into that and really build with the players as we grow.
Absolutely, Christian. I am also very much excited for the hunt mode as well. It feels like it's 6 years, but it's days in Web3. But you know how that feels out here. It feels like we mentioned hunt mode
Totally.
for a long time. I think there's a lot of people that are excited about that. But that wraps it up for boss number 3. Again, Hato mentioned, make sure you go vote. Last poll, make sure you get those votes in and see how Nathan Dinda gets the 3 bosses today.
And the poll is closed. So
the poll is closed. So you had to be quick.
So now we are going to be going into everybody's favorite segment of the show, chat. This is my favorite segment, the results segment. How did Nathan do across all the bosses? Well, we're about to find out. I want to thank everybody for pulling up to today's show. Shout out to our sponsors, Arbitrum, Gordon, WDG. On boss number 1, Nathan, you scored 100 out of 100. Killing it. On boss number 3, you scored an 88 out of 100.
Boss 2.
So now it comes down to boss 2. What did our challenger get on boss 2? Our challenger got a 75 on boss number 2.
It's the C.
Now, if you compile all the scores together, pause for dramatic effect. If you add all the scores up together, what is that score, chat? That's an 88 out of 100. You passed.
Hold on.
Now we need some more dramatic. There we go. There we go. Congratulations, Nathan. How you feeling, my friend?
Oh man, that was tense. The music, the suspense, the dramatic pause. But hey, I'm happy, and it was great chatting with you guys.
Absolutely, and you come out a champion. Ramen, what did our winner win today?
Ladies and gentlemen, no, I'm just kidding. So we're gonna be sending over. Otto's like, man, show them what they've won. No, we're going to be giving you your own custom Feynor SPT, which for all project founders who come on here and actually defeat the bosses, you will also have a place inside of our Catalyst ecosystem, which may or may not financial advice here. I could read the disclosure, but we don't have to do that again. May help benefit people from the Feynor community and those inside of the Catalyst community. But we make no promises in Web3, but you are going to receive one of those, my friend. So congratulations, and the pleasure was all ours. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come battle the 3 bosses here on Boss Battles with myself and our awesome host, Mr. Hato here.
Yo, gotta say, we don't ever have to write anything down. Ramen will just remember everything. It'll be A-okay. All jokes aside, yo, Z Gonic, GG. Welcome to the show. It's over now, but appreciate the comment. Say something sooner next time, and we'll shout you up. And Black Lizard says, give him rock candy and a Yamaha keyboard. Who is him? There's 3 hymns here. Which hymn?
Yamaha keyboards are really nice. Not gonna lie.
Fantastic.
Are they?
Yeah, extremely expensive.
Okay.
Yes, they're nice.
Not bad. Good job, Yamaha. Good job. Well, that is going to do it for today's show, everybody. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Boss Battle. And, it was quite the episode. We had some drama. We had some love, some laughter, and some excitement at the end. But it's not the journey. It's the friends we made along the way.
Absolutely.
Ramen, I'm just in a goofy mood today. I don't know what it is, man. You just put me in this dapper mood. Nathan, thanks for joining us on today's show. Thanks for being here. Can't wait to try out Faye Noraverse. Loved all the answers, by the way. Chat, thanks for pulling up. We'll see you guys next time. Same damn place. Episode 55. Holy shit, Ramen. We're going to make it to 100 episodes this year. Isn't that crazy?
We're going to get into the Wildlands.
Oh my God, we're going to get into the Wildlands. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks so much, guys.